Alright everybody, welcome back to episode 2 of Brandon Burning Food. This week I'm going to be making barbecue chicken thighs with grilled asparagus and roasted Yukon Gold potatoes. This recipe is a little bit more involved than the last one that I did, but it's still really easy. Oh, there goes my kitty cat. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it, so let's get down to prep. Alrighty, here we have our chicken. That's the first thing I'm going to prep because it takes the longest. I'm going to be showing y'all a long form kind of marinating technique. You don't have to do the first part of what I'm doing. If you're under a time crunch or you just simply don't feel like doing it, you can take these, put them in this, followed by this. Not all of it, obviously. You want just enough to coat the chicken. I'd say about 1/3 of a cup. Rub it around so all the flavors get coated around, all the chicken gets a nice even coating of the sauce, and pop it in the fridge for 20 or 30 minutes, and then you can skip to the grilling part. That being said, I'm going to do a little bit of a longer one where I do a dry seasoning first with my trio from last video over there, and let it chill in the fridge covered for about, I would say, 30 minutes. And then we're going to add the barbecue sauce and do the bag method, where we put the chicken in the bag, throw the barbecue sauce in there, and let it sit. I'm going to go for a marinade time of about 2 hours instead of 20 minutes, just to really richen the flavor. You don't want to be marinating it for too long though. I would say your maximum amount of time on this recipe for a marinade is about 4 hours. Anything more, and then the barbecue sauce, or rather the vinegar in the barbecue sauce, is going to start breaking down the chicken. So yeah, 2 to 4 hours is my recommended time, but 20 minutes, 20-30 minutes is enough too. For this recipe, we're using bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. And we're going to be using Sticky Fingers Carolina Classic barbecue sauce. I like most barbecue sauces. This is my fiance's favorite, so this is why we're going to go with this one. The only kind that I don't really like and that I don't recommend for this recipe are the really sweet molassesy barbecue sauces like KC Masterpiece or Sweet Baby Ray's. Those are good for certain things, but I would recommend them for this. It's just the sweetness is overpowering. Alright, so for the chicken seasoning, but first, as you can probably notice, you can see my hands this week because my coworker and friend Anthony lent me a tripod stand to try out and see if I like it. So I think, yeah, this is probably going to become pretty standard on this channel. I'm going to get my own stand pretty soon. But anyway, what we're going to do is we are going to just season both sides of these chicken thighs with our seasoning trio that I use a lot when I cook, which is kosher salt, fresh cracked pepper, and garlic powder. With these, you want to season them pretty well, especially with the salt, but you got to be careful because you can oversalt these. You should be able to see it, but it shouldn't look like a crust, essentially. So if you can see it there, I don't know. But we're going to do that to both sides, like so. Over. Seasoning both sides of your meat is very important when you cook. Really just evens out and deepens the flavors of whatever it is that you're cooking. Seasoning one side is, it's kind of a, I hate to use this term because it sounds so, not derogatory, but like I'm sort of talking down about people, but it's a very rookie mistake. That being said, we all make those. I've made those. You learn. It's a part of the process. One of the things I want to teach people here on this channel is that, you know, as with a lot of things in life, failure is a part of the process when it comes to cooking. So take your lumps, move on, and just learn from it. That's all we can do. I also bought this black peppercorn grinder from Kroger today. Tried it out a little bit. I don't love how it grinds really slowly, but fresh cracked pepper is always better. It just is. It's got a richer, more peppery flavor. So we're going to do exactly what we just did to the chicken with the salt, but with the pepper. As you can see, that pepper's coming out really nice, big chunks. And again, you want a good amount, not a ton. We're not making pepper-crusted chicken this week, but again, one of the things that people do when they're first learning to cook is they're real gun-shy with their seasoning. Because we're grilling this, a lot of this seasoning is going to burn and fall off of the chicken during the cooking process. That's one of the reasons I let it sort of marinate, so to speak, in the dry seasonings before I put the barbecue sauce on it. You really want to let those simple flavors get in there, get stuck, and as one of my favorite YouTube chefs would say, Binging with Babish would say, really let those flavors get to know each other, because that is important. The better the flavors know each other, the better they're going to get along when they cook. So here we go. I think that's good. God, that thing grinds slow. It's hurting my wrists. And now for the garlic powder. With this one, you want to kind of season it a little bit, almost parallel. I'm not seasoning right now, the cap is on. You want to season it almost parallel to the plate. You do not want to do this. Do not do a dumping motion. You will end up with garlic powder with a side of chicken. So, there you go, just a nice even coating, like a dusting. Alright, now flip her over. Do it again to the other side. The only time I can really think where it would behoove you to only season one side of meat is when you're cooking with like a very, very thin piece of steak, like flank steak. You season one side, put the seasoned side down on the grill, and then season the other side when you flip, basically. Anyway, so that's done. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this off camera because, you know, I don't think that anybody here really needs to be shown how to cover a plate with a piece of plastic, is I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap and I'm going to put it in my fridge behind me for about 30 minutes. Alright, it's been about a half an hour, so we are going to remove the plastic wrap from these guys, and yep, they look pretty much exactly like they should. I'll give you a little close-up right there. Really noticeable seasonings, they smell really good. This is exactly what you want right here. So now it's just a matter of getting them into this gallon Ziploc bag. I bought a pack of about, I don't know, 50 of them for a couple bucks at the grocery store, so real cheap. Also, another thing that I love about chicken thighs, in addition to their flavor and grillability, is their price. I got a pack of 8 of these for $6 at the store today, and they were about $1.40 something a pound. So very, very affordable and really, really good. Like I said in my last video, just because it's cheap, just because it's easy, doesn't mean that it has to not be good. All of this stuff is easy, very doable, very affordable for anybody on a working budget like myself, and they always come out great. Alright, so give the barbecue sauce a good shake, and we're going to pour about 1/3 of a cup in here. I don't normally measure when I cook. I'm going to do my best in the future to try to start getting some measurements on my videos, but it's going to be a process just because, like I said, I don't really do it. Alright, so for this, you want to seal up the bag. Let's see if I can get it in the camera. There we go. Seal up the bag almost all the way. I'm leaving about this much open, as you can see. And you just kind of want to smush it down as best as you can and get as much of the air out as you can before you finish sealing it, just like that. And then we're just going to give these a nice rub around toss. Make sure that sauce really gets on all parts of the chicken. You can lay it out flat like this and just kind of, basically what you're doing is you're just giving it a little bit of a massage in the sauce, making sure that it really gets into all the cracks and crevices underneath the chicken thigh, the part opposite to the skin. That's what we really want, because that's what's going to make the flavor. And then once you give it a good little rub, just stand it up, and I use my fingers in like a scissors motion to get the marinade off the top. And then this is done. We have our chicken thighs in their marinade. This is going to go in the fridge for about 2 hours. Alright, so real quick guys, what I want to show you is how to prep this asparagus. You can do this way ahead of time and just put it in the fridge after you do this. What I have here is about a pound of asparagus. If it would stay on the work surface, that'd be great. So what I want you to notice here is kind of how, I'll grab, well, there goes one of them. These things like to run away. I'll grab one of these and show it to you. So as you notice, right about here, the coloring really starts to change. We're really nice and green until about here. This bottom part, you're gonna wanna take off. They get really fibrous and chewy while they cook, so you don't want this in your food. You can chop them or you can snap them. It doesn't really matter. The snap, it looks like this. It will break naturally right at about where the color changed. See, I got a little bit of the green, but that's okay. It'll snap off naturally. So I'm gonna do this with all of the asparagus, trimming off the bottoms, put them in a gallon Ziploc bag, and put them back in the fridge. So now we're gonna prep our potatoes. What you wanna do is you wanna quarter these. So, knife. I'm gonna try to do it so that you can see. Lengthwise, turn it, trying to keep it together. Just give it a little pinch. And then the same. Bam. Just like that. And into a bowl. Now, I've actually already done this with all the potatoes except for the one that I just showed you. So I'm going to season them. First thing is a healthy glug of olive oil. I make a little swirl. There you go. If you accidentally use too much, don't worry about it. You can always leave it in the bowl. Next is salt, which I got today at Kroger. My fiance wanted some pink Himalayan salt, so I got a big grinder. And now we're just gonna... You're welcome. She just got home. She's in the other room. She's actually gonna be camera womaning for me in a little bit. So, generous portion of salt. One thing about potatoes that I really like is that they're sort of like blank canvases. You can do a lot of things to them. They take seasoning very well. They're hard to over season, especially for what we're doing right now. So, good generous portion of this cracked pepper. I don't like this grinder. It grinds too slow. Ugh, ow. Next is some Italian seasoning. And then a generous sprinkle. Like I said, these things are hard to over season, so you can kind of go nuts. One thing you want to be careful on though, we're going to add some onion powder. You don't want to add too much of this stuff because it can be overpowering. Just there you go. Again, always garlic powder. Good little sprinkle of that. And another one that you don't want to put too much of in is the paprika. That's mostly for color. And then, gotta put it in the fridge. I minced up some actual garlic, so we're gonna throw a pinch of this in there. The rest we're gonna use for our asparagus. So that goes in. I will show how to mince garlic eventually. I didn't feel like doing it. This video is already going to be pretty long, probably longer than my last one, which makes sense because there's more steps, but I just didn't really want to... Whoops! A few of them went on a trip outside of the bowl. That's okay. They got caught by the surface the camera's resting on, which is actually a baking sheet that we're going to cook them on. So give them a quick toss. If you don't feel like doing the wrist motion, you can do a simple swirl. Or you can even use a spoon. But that's it. So I'm going to pick the camera up. This is what they look like after they've been tossed in their oil and spice sort of marinade / cooking liquid. Alright, I basically just poured the asparagus out over this sheet of foil, squeezing out the juice that was left in the bag. It looks really, really good. I don't think that it really needs anything, honestly. Maybe just a tiny... Nah, I think it's probably good. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to kind of fold it like this. And you don't want to squish this edge too much because it causes the asparagus to pile. You want it to be relatively flat. They're going to lay on each other. but you don't want it to be too thick. And then just pull it over like that. This part is less of a science and more just kind of working with what you got. And then push, flatten it out on the ends. Whoop, I shook the camera there, sorry about that. And then, what I meant by an envelope is you're just going to close it like this. Triangle, sort of like you're wrapping a Christmas present. You want to create as many fold points as you can, because these keep the moisture from escaping, and that's part of what actually cooks this. So just fold it over on itself, don't break the foil, but and then do it for the other side. So triangles in on the sides, and just give it a nice roll. Make sure to tighten it down at the seam. Give it a little rub to make sure everything's kind of the same thickness. And we're good. We're done. Alright, the potatoes are on the baking sheet. I poured them out, let the juice drizzle out of the bowl over top of them, especially the chunks of garlic. Those are important. You want to make sure that you have one cut edge of each piece of potato directly on the baking sheet. It gives you really nice crisp on it. And yeah, these are going to go in the oven at 425 for 20 to 25 minutes. Usually I found 22 minutes is about the right time. And we're outside with my grill, and I just kind of wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of what it is and how it works. This is a Weber full-size kettle grill. It is a charcoal grill. I don't own a gas grill, I never have. I've used them. They're easy and they're convenient, but I don't know, I love grilling over charcoal. When I was a kid, I watched my dad do it. He taught me, and then last Christmas, he actually bought me this grill for Christmas because he found out that I had committed the sin of moving into a new house and not owning a grill. So he fixed that. So thanks, Dad. I guess you could say this video is kind of for you because you taught me pretty much everything I'm about to show people in this video. So thank you for that. Anyway, this is a very simple round bottom grill with 2 grates in it. It's what's called a 2-zone grill because we can have 2 zones of cooking. Over here tonight we're going to have our fire, and over here we're going to have our cold side, excuse me. What that's going to allow us to do is sear the chicken and then move it to a cold side. So basically what it's going to do is bake. On top you have your vent, and you have another one underneath, kind of like over there. Those are your temperature controls for the grill. The more closed they are, the more closed they are, the colder the fire is going to be actually, and the longer the burn time. The more open they are, it's the opposite. High temperature, lower burn time. We're going to be going for a more closed, but not totally closed. If you can see here, our vents while cooking are going to sit right about there. So open, not a lot open, but definitely some air passing through, and same on the bottom. Also, I just wanted to mention, if you're going to grill, check the weather before you grill. The last thing you want to do is get everything set up for you to light the grill and then it starts to rain, especially if you have a charcoal grill like I do. So check the weather before you grill. Also check the temperature outside because it's 100 degrees outside here today, and 100-degree weather is not grilling weather. It's not. Here we are outside, ready to light the grill. As you can see, I've got my briquettes covering just slightly less than half of the grill. They're also piled up pretty decent. Let me see if I can get a shot of that. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's a good pile going there. And I've got this flap open. That's a lighting flap. If you don't have that on your grill, that's fine. Just light it with the whole grate off, and as soon as it catches, put the grate on. You will not burn yourself. All right, here we go. I like to light it in 3 places just to make sure that the fire starts evenly. Another way to do this is to light a piece of like paper on fire and lay it over the top. Close the grate, and there we go. We are going to be letting this go for probably about 15 to 20 minutes until it is all burned down and is a bed of coals. Just thought I'd give you guys a shot of the fire. You know, if we're going to be lighting a fire in 100 degrees, we might as well show a video of it. Alright, so we're here ready to put the chicken on the grill. What you want to see in your briquettes that lets you know that the fire is ready is the briquettes on top should look like they've been dusted with ash. They should be a little gray, and you should be able to clearly see, in this case, the K in the briquettes. That means it is ready to go. So we got our chicken right here. Don't worry if the marinade looks a little light on the top. we let a lot of it run off, but we are going to baste this. So what you want to do is you always want to go skin side down first. So here we go. One thing that I desperately need are actual grilling tools, because I pretty much burn my hand every time I grill. Skin side down, what that does is it gives us a nice crisp on the skin. Much like the pot roast, there is going to be some noise here. It's flaming up a bit, which means you need to watch it pretty carefully. Check the skin after about 90 seconds. You do not want to burn the skin. If you do, it's okay. You can save it in a baste, but you want to avoid it if you can. Alright, so we've finished searing the chicken thighs, and as you can see, they've got some char to them. I kind of purposefully did them with a progression. This one is going to look burnt to some people. Trust me, it's not. That's actually probably going to be the best one. And then going all the way down the spectrum, you want a little bit of char marks, some blackness, and to really be able to see the color in the skin. And then we're just going to baste them on top with what it is it's a mixture of the barbecue sauce we use to marinate with a little splash of water. The water is there to, one, keep the flavor of the base from overpowering the meat, and two, to get it more spreadable so it covers everything. You're going to be using enough of this that the reduction in flavor caused by the water isn't going to be negligible. So you just want to get a good coating on all of it. And then, I know, I really need some actual grilling tools. This stuff is, the handles aren't long enough, and I get my hands close to the fire every time, and I burn myself.
Well, that's not safe.
I never hurt myself, seriously. Alright, so now, that's done. Lid on the grill. Vents are a little bit open, not crazy open. That's going to give us a nice temperature regulator, and then we're just going to kind of let these guys sit for probably 10 minutes. Alright, so these have been on the grill for about 20 minutes now. I've flipped them once. After 10, every time you flip, rebaste, and that's exactly what we're looking for right there. Beautiful caramelized char on those skins. And we're gonna just rebaste one more time, making sure to get a good coating over the top again. These probably need about another 10 minutes. Judging by the way they are firming up, but not quite there yet. You can kind of tell by the touch, but a thermometer never lies. So if you're doing this as a beginner, you never cooked chicken thighs with the bone in and the skin on a grill before, get a meat thermometer. They're not expensive. You can get them at any grocery store. Stab the thickest one at its thickest point, close to the bone. It needs to register between 180 and 190 degrees. So, lid's gonna go back on momentarily. I'm gonna go get my asparagus. So for the asparagus, we've got it in our packet. It's really simple. Hot side of the fire, lid back on. We're gonna flip it in 5 minutes. All right, so the asparagus has been cooking for about 10 minutes on the grill. It's puffing up. That's what you want to see. You want to see it have some give to it when you push down on it. That means it's steaming. So you're going to flip it again, and then you're just going to kind of like open it up. I use the tongs. I'm not very graceful about it. You just want to kind of cut a slit down the middle and open her up.
Skirt.
We got a little bit of foil in there. Oh well. Comes out. It's feeling pretty tender, but it could definitely use a couple more minutes. It smells really good. Alright, we're going to temp the chicken by putting a meat thermometer. I have an old school dial thermometer. I don't have a instant read one yet. This thing is okay. It's not the best, but it works. We're just going to take it, thickest piece of chicken, thickest point, right here, and there we go. Alright, we are sitting at about 170 right now, which is basically exactly where we wanted to be for this. And here's the finished product, guys. Really nicely caramelized barbecue sauce with some good char on there. Again, like I said, it might look a little burnt, but I promise it's not. That's exactly what you want right there. Really crispy skin. Really nice. Potato wedges, nicely roasted. Got the seasoning and the oil still on there. Going to be crispy on the outside and really nice and smooth on the inside. And finally our asparagus. Just tasted one. It's fantastic. All those flavors cooked together really nicely. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be back next week with another one. Y'all have a good week.